Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shana Bassi. I'm the Manager of Community Engagement at Volunteer NBC, the Volunteer Center serving Peel Region. We fuel purposeful connections between people to respond to pressing social issues. And I'm serving on the planning team. It's comprised of several organizations that have come together to put on this series for you. So we're hoping that you'll enjoy this session today, which I think is going to be really fruitful. Of course, it's all part of the Connecting Together on Senior Socialization series, which we started on May 31st was the first session. So we're already deep into it now. And for those of you who are returning, we encourage you, if you haven't done so yet, feel free to provide your feedback on the previous sessions. We definitely have been looking at that and want to keep enhancing as we go along. So today's session is being recorded, and I encourage everyone to introduce yourselves in the chat if you have not done so yet. And then we'll have opportunities for audience participation, and at which point you can feel free to unmute yourself to chime in. We'll also have some people monitoring the chat here and so forth. So I'm going to begin with a couple of important things. So start with the land acknowledgement. So we'd like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we work, that we know as Peel, is part of the treaty lands and territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit. For thousands of years, Indigenous peoples inhabited and cared for this land. In particular, we acknowledge the territory of the Anishinaabe, Huron-Wendat, Haudenosaunee, and Ojibwe Chippewa peoples, the land that is home to the Métis, and most recently the territory of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation, who are direct descendants of the Mississaugas of the Credit. We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our deepest respect to its first inhabitants. Strongly encourage you to check out the blog on native-land.ca. It's also a great way to kind of get an idea about how territory has changed hands and what are those unceded territories really refer to. That's one of the things that we can definitely do is educate ourselves about where we are. And also to check out the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation on their website, mncfn.ca. Today is Indigenous Peoples Day, National Indigenous Peoples Day. So it's a day for all settler Canadians and people to recognize and celebrate the unique heritage, diverse cultures, and contributions of Indigenous peoples. It is a day that belongs to Indigenous peoples for them to be front and center. So we want to amplify their voices and celebrate their culture and absolutely avoid appropriation of that culture and resist the tokenization of their culture, but rather learn to appreciate and share for the benefit of everyone here, that we can begin to understand better and recognize how rich and excellent that culture is and what it can bring for us. We can learn about their distinct heritage, language, the many languages of Indigenous peoples, their cultural practices of First Nation and Inuit and Métis peoples. And this date, June 21st, was chosen by the government because many Indigenous peoples or their communities have celebrated their heritage on this day due to its proximity to the summer solstice, longest day of the year, which is yesterday. So that's a little bit about this day. And then as for how you can participate, attend celebrations with family and friends, watch and learn through documentaries about their heritage, cultural beliefs, and contributions, listen to podcasts and music written and sang by Indigenous peoples, research and spread awareness about Indigenous heritage via social media. That's something that I strongly encourage, and it's something that we think is, straightforward thing to do. You can follow the Aboriginal Network or the Indigenous Network, as it's now called, on social media. You can find them on Instagram and Twitter, especially, and they're quite active there. And you can share some of their content as well. It's a great step to take. Of course, we really want to recognize the importance of truth and reconciliation. So if you've not read the recommendations from the Truth and Reconciliation Report, that's something that everyone in our sector, every Canadian, every settler Canadian should do. There are things in the recommendations that we can all play a part in. Definitely some of it is geared toward advocacy, toward the government's responsibility. But until we as regular people in the community learn how what those recommendations are, we can't. It's really hard to hold our government to account to those recommendations. So study the Truth and Reconciliation Report and see how you can apply it in your own spheres and organizations. Research the history of peoples to understand, and then learn more about art and film and other cultural celebrations of Indigenous people. So these are just a few recommendations that we have on this day for that topic. And I think it's something that we have to bring into our everyday work, and that's the challenge. So I wish you all a very happy National Indigenous Peoples Day, and hope that we can use this as a point to learn and come together and move forward and bringing this into our day-to-day lives. As far as our session today on diversity and leveraging technology, we're really fortunate to have some amazing panelists joining us. I'm going to invite Janet Hobson to take the floor here and share a little bit about what we have on deck today, as she will also be moderating the session today. Janet, are you here?
I am here. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. And Sean said I'm Janet Hobson, so I'm from one of the Region of Peel Adult Day programs. And today's session, we are talking about diversity and leveraging technology. We have a great panel of 3 panelists, starting with Wendy Melinder from Dixie Blur Neighborhood Center, going on to Manveer Bangu from the Punjabi Community Health Services, and then finishing off with Monica from Family Services of Peel. So our first thing before we get into our speakers is we just have a little bit of a resource that we'd like to share with everybody. So Metro is an organization that is a social platform for adults who are over 50 that resources social isolation, loneliness, and/or boredom through new friendships, shared experiences, and knowledge. And Metro introduces you to new people in your community and to activities and experiences you can enjoy together, making new friends, living life. So we welcome everybody to check out their website and get more information about this organization. And no further ado, we'll start off with our first guest speaker. So Wendy Melinder, who is from the Dixie Blur Neighborhood Center. Wendy facilitates the caregivers and senior support programs. Wendy is passionate about addressing ageism and promoting intergenerational collaboration. With the Dixie Blur Neighborhood Centers, she has been there since July of 1991, and says sort of that it's become a little bit of a life sentence for her. But in jokes says that it's been very grateful and enthusiastic about it. So we welcome Wendy to present.
Okay. So everybody, I'll just get my PowerPoint up on the screen here. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you nice and clear, thanks.
Oh, that's good. Okay, just give me one little second here if you don't mind. Make sure this is going to work okay. Okay, there we go. So I'm really happy to be here with everyone this afternoon. And what I want to talk with you about is I want to share a little bit about a language-specific initiative that is part of the larger caregivers and seniors support program through my agency, Dixie Blur Neighborhood Center. And Dixie Blur Neighborhood Center, some of you know us, we've partnered with some of you. We're a nonprofit community multi-service agency serving Mississauga. We're located mainly in East Mississauga, and we have programs for all ages, and we've been in the community for 30 years now. Hence my life sentence. Okay. So we have a collaboration to address obstacles to services and supports accessed by Mandarin-speaking caregivers. And, obviously it's gone through some changes during the COVID period. We did meet in person previously. But today I'm mainly going to talk to you about the program and how we pivoted to a virtual program. So again, it's part of a larger DBNC community support program, and we provide education sessions, social interactions, referrals, and other services to caregivers and vulnerable seniors in several languages: English, Mandarin, Polish, Urdu, Hindi, and Punjabi. And as we all know, I don't think this is anything we need to belabor. Non-English speaking older adults really face significant barriers to accessing supports and services. And especially during the COVID time, it's been so important to be able to provide opportunities for positive interactions, information sharing, and referrals, especially in the preferred language of the older adult. So some designs and considerations specific to our Chinese or our Mandarin speaking program. Pre-pandemic, this group met in person once a month, Sunday morning, which is a little unusual, in one of our agency program venues. And Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center, our main office, which of course has basically been closed since the beginning of the pandemic, our main office is in one of the wings of the Burnham Thorpe Library at Dixie and Burnham Thorpe. But we have approximately 17 different program sites. Some are dedicated sites, and wherever we set up a program, even if it's not dedicated space, it's considered a program site. So we met in one of the agency program venues, and the Sunday morning suited the clients who were less likely to be engaged in family responsibilities at that time. Some of our monthly sessions attracted up to 50 participants. So another consideration was we had to meet at a time when there was appropriate, accessible, and welcoming agency space available so that we could safely and comfortably accommodate those numbers. For some time, we met in one of our early on sites, and then we moved one of our language instruction for newcomer sites. And the photo here is of us meeting in High Point Mall on the Sunday. What did we do when in-person programming was no longer possible? Well, we interacted, as I'm sure many of you did, with clients through telephone support and phone health checks, emails, some mailed information and resources, and some virtual Zoom sessions. Many of the seniors were not online, but interestingly enough, most of the Mandarin-speaking clients did have internet access. Not all of them were familiar with the Zoom application, but I have a Mandarin-speaking program facilitator. She works with me 6 hours per month, so she obviously has another full-time job. And she was able to call the clients to suggest they ask their family members, if possible, to support them in setting up Zoom. And we were also able to provide some online coaching and help them familiarize prior to our first Zoom session with them. So collaborations, a little bit about collaborations. For years, we have been welcoming practicum students from nursing and medical schools, most particularly the Ryerson School of Nursing, Humber College School of Nursing, and the U of T Mississauga Academy of Medicine. They have their students do a community-based service learning program. So pre-pandemic, these practicum students were on site with the programs and in our agency offices, working as valuable team members, enriching service provision for clients. But providing a rich practicum learning experience for students during COVID presented a new challenge because we obviously could not meet in person with clients. And participating in the live program sessions to interact with clients was no longer possible. So we kind of took a big step and decided we would still commit to accepting the nursing and medical students, and we would do our best to integrate them in an impactful and meaningful way to what service options were still available to us. We weren't really sure how that was going to work out, but we thought we would give it a try. So some considerations and strategies. Because many of the Mandarin-speaking clients were online, it did offer an opportunity for the students to interact directly, I have that in quotations, with the clients, albeit virtually. So it was decided to utilize the students more specifically for that group. I very much wanted the students to have some interaction with clients. I think that was really important for their practicum learning goal. So we requested, when we were organizing and arranging the practicums with the colleges, we requested, if possible, for them to place Mandarin-speaking students with us. So that was pretty successful. Out of our 2 Ryerson nursing students, one was fluent in Mandarin. And from a total of our 8 Mississauga Academy of Medicine students, 3 were Mandarin speaking. So we decided to best utilize their knowledge and skills in the area of health promotion. We would have them research, design, and facilitate some virtual education and dialogue sessions on a variety of health topics. We arranged for the students to meet on Zoom with the clients to introduce themselves, explain their role as practicum students with the agency, and we asked the participants to identify several health topics for the students to research and eventually present on. The one challenge was how to best incorporate the non-Mandarin speaking students into this virtual experience. We knew that they couldn't be fully engaged, but we did the best we could by having them fully engage in the research and development of the sessions, as well as being present at the Zoom sessions, because you can tell a lot just by seeing the engagement of the older adults on the screen. So at the end of the practicum, the non-Mandarin speaking students did report a sense of satisfaction with their learning experience. The PowerPoint slides that were used in the students' presentations were designed with both Mandarin and English on each slide to allow the non-Mandarin speaking students to follow along with the information. And of course, they could witness by watching the older adults on screen how engaged the clients were. So I just want to play you a couple of little video clips of our students. I think you can hear direct from them a little bit about how the experience was for them. And these are some of our University of Toronto medical students.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alexi.
My name is Evan.
My name is Grace.
My name is Rebecca.
And we're a group of medical students from the University of Toronto who had the pleasure of working with the Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center this past year on ways to address social isolation in non-English speaking seniors during the pandemic.
This year has been challenging for all of us, and coming in, we were uncertain whether we'd be able to make a meaningful impact. Wendy not only provided us with an understanding of all the services that Dixie Bloor provides, she also gave us an opportunity to work with a group of Chinese seniors in the community. We got to meet with them to figure out topics that were important to them and work with them to find innovative ways to address these.
It was really nice to see all the seniors being very engaged with the presentation and asking questions. We really felt a sense of community despite being on an online platform.
Getting to see the seniors socialize and interact with one another, living out community to one another in a very practical and tangible way was much more impactful than just hearing about it in class. So huge thank you to Wendy and Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center for this invaluable opportunity.
Our wonderful students. They were so much fun to work with. Okay, and the next clip is from Helen. She was one of our Ryerson third-year nursing students who was with us for full terms. So here's Helen.
Hi everyone, my name is Helen Chen and I just completed my third year here at the nursing program at Ryerson University. So because of the pandemic, my placement was actually done remotely with the Dixie Bloor Neighborhood Center. Even though my placement was virtual, I was still able to contribute a lot to the Chinese older adult members here within the agency. So with help from people like Wendy, who was my preceptor, and other team members at Dixie Bloor, like the English class teachers of the LINK courses, as well as some settlement workers, I was able to conduct 2 large Zoom sessions within the Chinese seniors monthly sessions, and also with another group of Chinese older adults in the English LINK classes provided by Dixie Bloor. So all in all, each of the classes had around 20 to 30 older adults in each. So it was a really wonderful experience. For both sessions, I asked the older adults in advance in regard to what health topics they would like more information about, and then I would follow up and present to them in Mandarin. I was then able to conduct research, and I reviewed the most recent nursing and public health literature and guidelines before preparing PowerPoint presentations. So in the end, I created 2 informative sessions in English and Chinese about cardiovascular health and disease, as well as COVID-19, specifically for older adults. So both presentations talked about signs and symptoms, healthy lifestyle strategies seniors could implement in their daily lives to combat illness and disease, as well as public health guidelines that were provided by Peel Region at the time. So obviously, because the seniors weren't able to meet in person, I could really see how beneficial the sessions were for them. So not only was I able to remove a language barrier for them to access health materials, but they were also less socially isolated because everyone was given time to speak. They could catch up with their friends during the seminars, and it was a really, it was a win-win situation for them, and you could really see their smiles light up on the screen. Personally, I didn't know what to expect from a remote placement in a community center. I was worried at first I wouldn't learn anything useful this year or very productive, but I was really mistaken, and I'm glad for that. My virtual placement here at Dixie Bloor, hands down, has been one of my favorite nursing student placements to date at Ryerson. I really felt like I was making a difference in these seniors' lives because of my nursing knowledge, because I was bilingual, and I've learned so many skills in things like patient communication, in research, and being very self-directed in the work that I do. I feel really lucky to have been a part of such a welcoming, dedicated, and a hardworking team, and to have made like such an impact with the Chinese community here.
Okay, so we really enjoyed working with the students. They bring so much enthusiasm and skill and knowledge, health promotion knowledge to our program. So just a few quick testimonials from our seniors, and please excuse the grainy aspect of the photos, but I edited them off some screenshots from our virtual Zooms. So why do you participate in this program? Learn more about the programs and services for seniors. We get important and updated knowledge. Very happy to see everyone when we participate, and I share the information to my friends and family. You learn from attending. Healthy information, healthy eating and living, all about hearing aid services. A month ago, we had Sunita from the Canadian Hearing Services come and present. She couldn't present in Mandarin, but we were able to have her PowerPoint translated, and the facilitator, Rachel, was able to interpret as well. We learn about Dixie Bloor Settlement Services, about retirement planning, and about COVID-19 vaccine information. So that's just a few of the topics that we've covered with the group. If you like the medical and nursing students coming to this program and presenting some information to you about health, yes, we learned the information from the students. And here you can see some of the engaged expressions on the faces of the Zoom participants. So would we do it again? And when I say would we do it again, we've worked with our students for years, and we certainly hope to continue that. But would we do it virtually again? Yes, absolutely. Both the Mandarin speaking students and the non-Mandarin speaking students did report a rich community learning experience with this engagement. And we do feel that while in-person interaction is optimum, virtual engagement also has some benefits and sometimes even advantages. Obviously, one is removing barriers to attendance for persons who have obstacles to leaving their home venues or transportation issues. I'm actually hoping when we get back to a more normal service provision that we can continue some of our virtual programming. So positive intergenerational interactions and opportunities for engagement really offer significant benefits to all age groups involved. I'm not quoting any research here, but there's lots out there. The older adults benefited by receiving, sorry, I have a fly in my room here, by receiving credibly researched health information on topics that they had identified as pertinent to their needs, and also the platform after the presentation to discuss their concerns and ask further questions of the students. And the students gained insight as to the needs of older adults and some of the barriers they face in having those needs met. The older adults, and I think this is really important, the older adults expressed satisfaction that they could assist the students to achieve their practicum goal of learning more about how older adults are faring as they age and how appropriate service provision can support them. So I think it's a win-win situation. The Students are supporting the older adults and caregivers, and the older adults also feel affirmed because they're part of the students' learning experience. So that's the end of my presentation, and thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Wendy. That was a great presentation. I really like the part too about students teaching the seniors or older adults, and then also the older adults feeling that satisfaction of giving back and teaching to their community, which is great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We're going to have opportunity for some questions and answers at the end of our 3 speakers. I forgot to mention that earlier. So without ado, we will head into our second speaker, which is Manveer Bangu from the Punjabi Community Health Services, where she oversees the health department, including mental health, addictions, and geriatrics. She's also led the High Priority Community Strategy Project, which focuses on supporting the Brampton community with COVID-19 wraparound services and supports, access to testing and vaccination and community education. Welcome, Manveer.
Thank you so much, Janet, and thank you, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, and good afternoon. I'm just going to share my screen. You can just let me know that you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
Perfect. Okay. All right, so hi everyone. My name is Manveer and I am the Manager of Operations, as Janet mentioned, at Punjabi Community Health Services. We are a community-based health organization working in mental health, addictions, geriatrics, settlement, and a lot of other things. And as I'm sure with everybody else, it's been a very busy year in the last, year and a half now. And we've done a lot of different things to engage our community. And I'll talk a little bit about our projects, especially with our seniors and how we've engaged them through technology in the last year or so. So as you all know, oops, there we go. So yeah, the theme for my presentation was innovative programming and engagement. And there's a few different ways we've done this over the last year and a half, but I think the 2 that stood out to me the most were we did 2 different tablet programs with our seniors to avoid social isolation and to give them a little bit more of a connection with their family and friends, which had its own challenges, and I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But it was really neat to be able to give them that opportunity to engage with their family, their friends, their community from their homes, and while maintaining the distance and staying safe. And we've been very fortunate that we still have access to those tablets, and the seniors have become very equipped and very well versed in technology over the last year and a half. So one of the projects that we worked on, it was a partnership project with Human Endeavor, and it was called the TASK program. The Human Endeavor is another nonprofit organization based out of Vaughan, and they do a lot of programming with seniors based on health and wellness, economic stability for adults, and community development for newcomers and refugees. And they had this really great program, and they're a great partner of ours from before the pandemic. And we had this opportunity to work with them to kind of create this opportunity for our seniors to come together and learn how to use a tablet and to join all of the programs that we offer through Zoom and other virtual platforms. So TASK stands for Technology Access and Support for Seniors. And it was created by Human Endeavor for 3 different reasons. One was empowerment, confidence, and independency. The empowerment piece is really to make sure that seniors, especially during this time, are not feeling left behind. And the confidence was, to support them to feel more comfortable using technology and using that in their daily lives, especially when a lot of them had been cut off from their families and friends. And independency, again, I think, we've noticed that a lot of our seniors before this program did not have, they didn't know how to use technology. They didn't have access to technology. And we really wanted to make sure that they had something that could keep them occupied, especially during the winter months, which was very challenging. So that's kind of where this program was. We partnered with Human Endeavor on this, and here's a picture of all of our seniors after they got their first shot of the vaccine. So the need for the TASK program, obviously there's a obvious reason that the pandemic happened, and it was difficult for them to have access to people or to, you know, go out and do the things that they would. A lot of them would fly out, you know, back home during fall, and they would come back in the spring, and they weren't able to do that last year. So they are, you know, with this, they were able to connect with their family and not feel so isolated. And also just increasing their knowledge for technology, which has been, you know, we were a little worried in the beginning that they may not be able to learn the technology, and it might be really difficult to do it over, you know, online or over the phone. But we were surprised, and they were very, very, you know, resourceful, and now they don't want to part ways with their tablets, and they're really, really enjoying their time using them. And I have some testimonials I'll share as well. And we've just been supporting them with whatever they need. I mean, it's not just giving them a tablet, it's also making sure they know how to use that tablet, making sure they have something to do on that tablet, and also educating them around, you know, Wi-Fi and what's enough, and, you know, when to stop, and just addiction, in terms of you know, a new thing that we were seeing was a lot of seniors were very addicted to their devices and didn't want to let them go. So we thought that was really interesting as well, and that came up a little bit with the seniors we were working with. So in our partnership, Human Endeavor programmed 40 tablets for us, and they gave them to us. And each tablet, you can see a picture here, had a tag on it that said, you know, this is PCHS's tablet, and each tablet came with its own guideline book. And it was really neat because it's the step-by-step instruction book on how to use a tablet. And we also understand that this, you know, this is a partnership program with somebody else, they were not able to provide the manuals or the guideline books in different languages, so it was only in English. However, they did have access to, you know, daily contact. So they could give us a phone call, and we would set up, you know, whatever they need help with, we would do it right away, which was really, really easy. And the phone number that they had to contact was on their tablet in big bold letters. And that was available 9 to 5 for them to give a call. Hey, I can't log into my Zoom, or I need instructions on how to turn my tablet on or off. So that was, you know, that proved to be very, very helpful for them. And we were also able to give them chargers and other equipment. You know, each tablet comes with a cover and a case. And we also did loans with, like, we did documentation for a rental agreement with all of them, just so that they would understand that they are taking care of this device while they're holding on to it. And, you know, we've been fortunate enough, we've been able to extend that twice so far. So they're still using that tablet and able to connect on Zoom. We have lots of different programs that we do at PCHS, from physical activity to you know, any kind of workshops and talking engagements with seniors, as well as educational workshops on diabetes, dementia, etc. So they're able to join all of those from the comfort of their home. And it's been really neat to be able to do that. And none of them want to give the tablets back as of yet. So how it works, it's very simple. We identify seniors, and we have a large pool of seniors within our existing clientele who we identified as socially isolated seniors. So, you know, we connect with the senior, and we find out if first of all, if they're living alone, secondly, if they would benefit from a device if they don't have a device already. And then we, you know, have someone go deliver it and do an intake process, on the spot. They complete the agreement, as well as drop off the tablet, and go over some very basic instructions in person, maintaining a distance, although and then from there on, you know, there's instant communication happening between our team, between Human Endeavor's team, as well as the senior. They're able to call us anytime during the day to get any kind of support they need. And each senior also receives a, you know, a lengthy orientation on how to use their tablet, from how to start, how to, you know, turn it off, how to keep it safe, and all of that. And it's been really great. And we're also maintaining a regular calendar of all the events that they could join and participate in through our own workshops at PCHS. So here's a picture of one of our seniors who received the tablet. He was very excited. He wanted his picture taken. And this right here, you can see the senior-friendly tablet guide. And it's a simple, you know, booklet which has a larger font. although it is in English, but it's user-friendly. And we are able to provide our trainings in languages that the seniors would understand. So English, Punjabi, Hindi, Urdu. And that's majority of the population that we're serving within Punjabi Community Health Services. And it's been really great. And then even there's no picture of it, but on the back of the tablet, it has, it points to the camera. There's a sticker that says camera. So everything is labeled for them and easy to use as they need it. And also here's an appreciation note that we got from one of our clients. He really was struggling when the pandemic started, and he lives alone with his wife, and they really didn't have a lot, to do, and their time was beginning to really, it was getting difficult for them to get through the day, and we were able to get them this tablet, and he wrote us a really sweet testimonial as well. So that was a really great moment for us to know that it's made a difference. Oops. I don't know why those are empty. So that was the first partnership, and then the second partnership that we had was with a company called FamilyNet, and I'll tell you briefly about FamilyNet. So FamilyNet is an app designed to keep seniors connected with their loved ones. The app is more or less anyone can use it, but for our case, it was mostly for seniors, again, who were isolated. It's a fairly simple app to use. And it's, we've also been engaging a lot of our caregivers in our current programs who need to give their seniors something to do as they're taking care of them, or need any kind of, need to step away for whatever reason. And it's fairly simple to follow along. And it's got, you can do video calling, you can watch videos, you can listen to music, you can listen to the news. So there's all these different features on there as well. Which have been very helpful. And both of these programs started around the same time in summer last year. And like I mentioned, these are some of the features of the app. So the benefits that we found with FamilyNet especially were that, again, like it lets the seniors stay connected with their family and friends. There's also lots of different features that let them, very easily understand what's happening in the world. They can go and check the news, and this app does allow them to see or read things in a language of their choice. However, it's still a fairly new app, and they are developing more languages. But for the purpose of this, the group that we were working with, the cohort we were working with, we had the option of Punjabi language available, which was really great. And then, just to make sure that seniors are not feeling lonely during lockdown, as well as easy access and interactive features to keep the seniors' brains sharp during that time. So again, this was kind of the objective, was to just make sure that our seniors had something to do. And this set of seniors was different from the other set of seniors. And we were able to get 14 tablets, and for the other one it was 40. Originally, we had hoped that with the cases going down last summer that we might be able to do in-person sessions, but that didn't happen. So everything was done over the phone or over Zoom. And this is a little bit of what the app looks like. And there's multiple other languages available as well. So like I said, there was 14 seniors we engaged with. We had to purchase Samsung tablets. Right now, the app is not supported on any other tablets, iPads, but the Samsung tablets were fairly easy to use. Our staff were very, very diligent and worked very hard to, adapt it in a way that it was user-friendly, and they removed things like notifications, pop-ups that might confuse the seniors as they use it. And one of our biggest achievements was we set up, the training in Punjabi, Hindi, and English. And so we were able to do over the phone training with them. And this was all done on our end by our own staff to do virtual training sessions with them in Punjabi, Hindi, and English. And we also actually created a manual, a very detailed manual in Punjabi, as well as English on, take it out of the box, turn it on here, press here to enter, step-by-step instructions with pictures. And it was really, really well liked by the seniors, and they really found it helpful. And here's some testimonials from the clients that we worked with. So this app had a lot of different games that I like to play, and this one is my favorite. I watched YouTube all day, and this is where we had to educate them around limitations for data and things like that. So Yeah, so just in conclusion, isolation is more than just a loss of connection, and relationships isolation is also a loss of engagement. Although the main priority of the app was communication, we found that other aspects of the app shine brighter than just the ability to communicate easily. So that's briefly about my presentation. I'm sorry if I rushed that. I really want to make sure everybody has time. But I see there are some questions in the chat, and I guess I'll take them after the third presenter goes.
Perfect, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, there's some questions in the chat from the last presenter as well, so we can take those up after we hear from Monica, our last presenter for the day. So Monica is the manager and the principal investigator at the Peel Institute of Violence and Prevention. She holds a master's in adult education and applied psychology from OISE, Universities of Toronto. Her most recent research activities including a report on the FSP Seniors Social Table and the facilitator of the Peel Elder Abuse Prevention Network, the PEAPN strategy planning. So I welcome Monica to present.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, Monica.
Okay. Yeah. So I understand that Sean will be moving my slides along. Is that correct? So can I have my first slide?
Sean, are you there?
Okay, I'll do it myself then.
Okay, thank you, Monica.
Because Sean seems to have disappeared. Anyways, what happened? I'm gone again? There.
Oh, you're up now. You're good.
Okay. Okay, so can you see the full screen now?
Yep, full screen. You're good.
Great. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to tell you when I was asked to prepare this presentation for you, I was debating is that should I do kind of a professional presentation in relationship to the programs that we are running at Family Service of Peel, or should I talk to you about my life? Because I happen to be a senior, I'm 72 years of age, and so I thought it might be a nice thing to share my experience with you, to tell you that I'm a grandmother of one boy who is 21 and two granddaughters. One is 2 years and the other one is 6. And that, and at this time of my life is the happiest time of my life. I have never been so happy with myself than today. So I thought that I must start telling you this because I don't know. I mean, I cannot see all the participants and I don't know how many of them are at 72. But I have to start telling you that is my age. And also now I have to let you as well that I still teach at the University of Toronto at the Faculty of Medicine. And I'm one of the preceptors of the Health and Community Project. And I'm so hard to listen the experience that our students have at Dixie Brewer. I knew that usually it's a great experience for them there. So this is really a plus. So I'm going to start my presentation now, giving you some statistics. Oh, my presentation is gone. Oh, there. So because I was asked to talk a little bit more about, I just jumped one. Let me see. I'm not really good at this stuff. Oh, okay. So I was asked to talk about abuse. So this is a quote from one of member of some of our program that say, I want you to know that I had life where I wasn't being abused. And I think this is important consideration because sometimes abuse is starting for older people, but they did not suffer the abuse early in their life. Hello? However, in my experience, usually the abuse in most people's life is a continue. If a woman has been abused, has suffered domestic abuse, the abuse will not stop when she's older. It might increase. So in many people's history, the abuse is a continuum from early life. So let me see how I get to the next one. Okay. So let me give you a few statistics because you might know that the senior population in Peel is increasing. So Peel has the second highest growth in the population age 85 and plus in the GTA. In 2019, the senior population age 65 and over counted for 15.1% in the GT population and 13.3% on the Peel population. By 2040, the proportion of seniors is projected to make up 21.1% of the people of the GTA and 18.1% of the Peel population. And as you can see, this is a very recent statistics that I presented to you. The next one. So some of the vulnerability factors for Peel in senior. The dependency ratio by 2026, Peel senior dependency ratio will be around 29%. This ratio will be 1.4 times higher than the Ontario ratio. Living alone, the 2016 census revealed that more than one quarter, 26% of the Canadian seniors, 65 and plus, live alone. In Peel, the ratio is 14%. By 2037, it is projected that 17,400 seniors will be living in collective dwelling in Peel. If trend continue, approximately 4,400 seniors living in Peel will need housing within senior residence, while 13,000 seniors will need accommodation within a nursing home. Source of income. According to the Comprehensive Health Status Report 2019 by the region of Peel, in 2016, Peel seniors' income composition was 62% from market income and 38% from government transfers. Chronic health condition. 85.4% of all adults live at least one self-reported chronic illness, compared to 80.1% in Ontario. According to the Public Health Agency of Canada, 9 seniors are diagnosed with dementia every hour in Canada, where approximately 66% of them are women. Language. In Peel, 16% of senior residents do not know Canada's official language, English and French. This percentage is nearly double the ratio of Ontario, which is 9%. Peel is densely populated with immigrants, and records show that 18.4% of immigrants were aged 85 years and more at the time of immigration. This is, I'm going to jump it because it's a, and this is a report of seniors abuse according to the police. So I just wanted to note what is important here to realize that the numbers are increasing. So this is the definition of World Health Organization for abuse. Elder abuse is any action or inaction that threatens the health or well-being of an older adult. Abuse can happen to anyone regardless of age, cultural, health, or financial status. The impact of COVID-19 on seniors. According to Statistics Canada, experience of discrimination during the COVID-19 pandemic report, around 18% of 65 and older Canadian seniors convey experiencing discrimination or being threatened unfairly by others during the pandemic. I know that in some instances, some organizations have avoided to deliver, for example, food to seniors or certain ethnic community in the region of Peel. The long-term care system that houses our most vulnerable seniors have evolved into a classic case of systemic elder abuse. Because of the case of systemic neglect, many long-term care homes were completely unable to deal with the pandemic. And Losinki and Mugerich pointed out that in some provinces, as many as 70% of all COVID-19 fatalities can be directly traced to the long-term care setting. The military reporter confirmed that the condition found in our nursing home. It reflects a complete failure of our system to build a structure that protect our seniors. This type of systemic neglect can be labeled as systemic senior abuse. So I'm going to be talking to you about diversity and the social determinant of health. And you know, one of the logo of the work around the pandemic was, we are all in this together. Would you say that we have been all together in this pandemic, or some of us have been impacted a lot more than others? I will say that obviously the question is that we are not on all this together, because we have been impacted very differently. And why have we been impacted so differently? Because essentially, you know, the difference on the impact, oh my God, how I want this down. The difference on impact, it has to do with our social position in society. And our social position in society is determined for who we are and how inclusive we are in relationship to the population that we are living. And a way of looking at this inclusion and exclusion has to do with the equity and the determinant of health. And here, you know, I have a framework of equity, anti-oppression, and anti-racism that I have worked and that the Family Service of Peel has used to train our staff and staff all over the province that look carefully at the determinant of health and how they impact in our health and well-being. We know that the main sources of discrimination in society are gender and race, which I put in my framework at the center of what is supposed to be an eye. And from that discrimination grows many other discrimination. And right now, today we are talking about what happened with the determinant of health and aging. And as I said before, you know, we know that senior home has seniors in senior home, particularly public senior home or private senior home, has suffered the most, and they died the most during the pandemic. And we know, for example, that a recent report was produced about how the senior homes should be run. And a committee was supposed to look into that. But I haven't heard anything recently about what is happening. But it's very important for us when we work with seniors to have to realize that we are not on this together, that our vulnerabilities are determined of who we are, what race we are, what gender we are, what age we are, and so on, our education, and so on. And I give you just one example of a study that was very recently. You know, they look, this study looked at green areas and the health of the population. And it was discovered, and which is something that many of us know, that people that live in green area are healthier than others. So, you know, and we all are aware that public housing, for example, doesn't have as many green areas as more posh or well-off neighborhoods, specifically in the region of Peel. And when you live in areas that are not that green, your mental health suffers a lot. And then, you know, talking about senior abuse, conversation about any form of abuse is non-existent in most communities. And we find out very clearly in the groups that we run at Family Service of Peel. Most of them talk openly about being neglected. Seniors with children living in the same city experience lack of care and feeling of being unappropriated and forgotten. Children are abused with their own life, their children, and work. It's an unseen way to be mistreated and abused, exacerbated during the pandemic. And I guess because you're working with seniors, you are well aware that there are different levels of abuse: financial, emotional neglect, physical abuse, and sexual abuse. And also, you know, we don't talk as much as probably we should about this, the abuse that the seniors suffer in the hands of those that take care of them in senior houses and in the healthcare in general. So how likely is that senior will come forward with their stories of abuse? When they do, they disclose the family or to outsiders such as services. Are they comfortable talking to outside resources? Highly unlikely that senior will talk to you until you really build trust. When trust is built with a group like the social table for senior, they can feel in a secure zone. It's start sharing their living experience around abandonment, loneliness, mistreatment, and disrespect. And what is lacking right now in our services? You know, cultural appropriate capacity building around elderly abuse for seniors and their children. Elderly abuse aware is important for seniors, their children, and service providers. And learn about other forms of abuse such as neglect or babysitting. And I'm going to talk now briefly about our senior table because it's quite similar to the program that we have described early in this presentation. And we think that the senior table that we have initiated is being an excellent source of support for the seniors in different communities. So this is the social table for seniors that we have been running now for over a year. And I'm sorry, my slide keep on jumping.
Monica, I'm advancing your slides for me, so you can just direct me.
I'm really struggling with this moving my slides alone right now.
No, Monica, I'm advancing your slides for you. If you can just direct me.
Okay, see, so if you can move the one I have in front right now to the next one. The next one, okay. Can you go back to one? So this is the social table for senior is an initiative of Family Service of Peel, and we start our program. I interview a number of seniors in different communities to find out what they would like to do. So we decide to use community engagement strategy to outreach the senior in self-isolation and use the media as a medium to get together. And with the hope that it will break the isolation for the senior during the pandemic. And we started groups that we call it social tables in 4 different communities: the Hispanic, the South Asian, the Middle Eastern, and the Chinese community. And I want you to know that this program was run with a very small amount of money in a very short time. My understanding that the funds were given for a year. And right now we have in our hand a huge success and no more resources are coming from the government to continue supporting this program. Right now we are starting with our own resources, a senior program in the Caribbean community, and we have to expand the program in the Chinese community because we have over 10 people participating, and over 10 people is very difficult to facilitate when you are working virtually. Next one, please. So I'm going to, this is being said, we provide the device and we train in the different language to the senior to use it. Some of them learn it easier. We also develop a brief manual to give to them so they can follow instruction. And most of them have become very proficiency in using their donated tables. Next one. And here some of the picture of the senior, and I believe these are the seniors for the Spanish community. Extremely successful group. They are doing art. They do history. They dance and music, and they are super creative. Right now they are planning on doing a cookbook, and I mean you cannot stop the creativity of this group. But the others as well. Next one, please. So what is really reduced to the feeling of isolation and loneliness they have with this group. They make social connections, and some we have one of the seniors that went back to his country and somehow organized himself to be connected and now continuing the group from wherever he is. And you know, as I said, they play instruments, they do knitting, and they talk. They open up and they spend a lot of time talking to each other. So right now, what we are looking is some leadership within those senior groups. So if we don't have any more resources and we cannot continue paying the connectors, as we call the people that facilitate, one of the senior will take over the running of the group in the longer term. Next one, please. Yeah. And like I said, you know, I think that we seniors are very resilient. We are always open to new things. Teamwork is incredible. And seniors do not they do not talk openly about abuse, but nobody talks openly about abuse. You really, as a service provider, need to build the trust before people open up to you. Next one. What kind of ideas are coming from the senior group? Senior members are very enthusiastic to meet every week. We are discussing the possibility to open in person when everyone gets vaccinated with the second dose of the COVID vaccine and get together in a park. The group is still working in the memoir recopilation. Some are making art, craft. Seniors are inviting new members to join the group. Post-pandemic, they want to meet in person regularly. They discuss to plan trips outside around the city, visiting museums, parks, interesting places, dance, music, karaoke, poetry, knitting. Next one, please. Okay, so like I said to you, I debate of how I'm going to approach this presentation. And so now almost at the end of my presentation, I want to share a poem that I really love from Amado Nervo, a poem from Mexico, because I'm from Chile, and you might have realized now my mother tongue is Spanish, that talk about, you know, feeling at peace when at the end of your life, which is just something that I share with all the seniors that are participating in our program. So here it goes. Very close to my sundown, I bless you, life, because you never gave me false hope, nor unjust work, not undeserved punishment, because I see at the end of my rough path that I was the architect of my own destiny. If I extracted the sweetness or bitterness of things, it was because I put bitterness and sweetness into them. When I planted rose bushes, I always reaped roses. Surely winter will follow my wind and vigor, but you never told me that May will be last forever. I found without a doubt the nights long with my sorrow, but you didn't promise me just a good night. And indeed, I had some blessed and serene nights. I laugh, I was loved. The sun caresses my face. Life, you owe me nothing. Life, we are at peace. Next one. So now maybe you would like to ask me some question. And the next one, please. Next one. So there are, do you have any suggestion for family build? You know, maybe I talk about cultural sensibility, free space and things like that, and establish the multicultural senior group as a regular in our organization. So the last slide. So I'm going to say you thank you in the language I could speak. Thank you, merci, gracias, obrigada, mi wish. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. That was a great presentation, and so great to see different social groups of seniors truly picking up Zoom and being online. And it's like you said, they're resilient, and they've shown that for us. So I'd like to open up the table to any questions for our three panelists. So feel free to unmute yourself or add your question into the chat, and we will share that question for you. We did have one question for Wendy, which I think you've answered, but we'll just share it with the group. She was asking how, Jen was asking how you manage the confidentiality of email addresses when connecting students to clients on Zoom.
Yeah, we don't share the email addresses. The program Zoom link went out through a WhatsApp group Chinese seniors use to communicate amongst each other, and we also were able to put our presentations onto the WhatsApp app so they could go back and look at them again, the PowerPoint presentations after the students did them, and also share them with family and friends. And yeah, so we didn't share any. And with the students, they were practicum students with us, so we just shared the Zoom link with them directly. I see Shan here has a question about how comfortable with they were social media. Shared to social. Okay. I can answer just for my program. The seniors were getting more comfortable with social media. That's an ongoing process. And we did not record any of our Zoom sessions. And we do have a photo release form for any of our participants or students. So they knew that if we took a screenshot during the Zoom presentation, that we would possibly be using that in a promotional way.
I would like to say, because in a family service of Peel, everything that we do has as well a research arm. We asked the senior to sign a confidentiality agreement and a release to use their picture and their story. And also we have a system of collecting the data, because we are all knew about pandemic. We are all knew about elder, and because we cannot forget that it's not so long ago that people live only until 45, and maybe we are only the third generation of women that live beyond menstruation. So none of us can consider to be expert. So we are asking all our connectors, that is the name of the fourth facilitator, because we have facilitators that speak the different language, to keep very close record of the experience, not only of running the group, but also doing the outreach. And then we constantly, we develop a survey to collect very close demographic of who is participating in our group, because without knowing the demographic of the group, you don't really know who is there. So that is also very important for us. And we are constantly doing kind of interview, asking seniors to write memoirs. So we are going to have also a book of memoirs that we can use to not only reflect on our experience, but also share the data with others. So at this point, I think that is key that we keep information about what we are doing. Very good data, very good information, because all of us are learning from each other, and also we are the first one doing it for the next generation, because we all know that another pandemic is coming. So hopefully, through the work that we are doing right now, we'll be better prepared. But also, to illustrate and demonstrate to the government that we cannot work in this program with short-term money. 1 year grant is impossible for us to make an impact. And also, they should not make us compete with each other for the tiny bit of money, because we don't need competition. We need collaboration among agencies.
Definitely. I totally agree with that one. Sean has another question. This could go to any three of the panelists, is how are you able to bring the more isolated or more introverted seniors into the program? So I know even in our programs, it's the ones who are outgoing are doing fine, but those who are a bit more quieter or less confident with the technology. Did you have any help for us on that one?
I don't know. You want me to go? Because I can tell you, we run 4 different communities. So each one of the communities have a very different approach to them. For example, for the Arabic community, we went through faith leader because it seemed that women felt more comfortable. And that group has been hard to reach, and that group has remained smaller. I also think that is key who you hire as a connector of a facilitator from the group. The person has to have the enthusiasm and the desire to go after those seniors who are harder to keep. Those seniors who has a lot of issues using the tablet and communicating electronically. But I'm going to tell you, particularly in the Spanish community, we have been super successful. So, because we have done the possible and the impossible. Like I told you, we wrote a short manual in Spanish for our members. So when the connector is not there, they can follow very simple instruction of how to connect. And that's what I say. Those are the memory we need to keep.
Definitely, yes.
Just put a little comment into the chat with regards to that, that often word of mouth is a great promotional tool. So if someone is already participating and they're happy with it and they feel it's beneficial, they often will talk about it with their friends and family, and we get new people coming in with that. You know, it's always challenging though, and it's been even more so obviously with COVID. One of our clients has invited a couple of his neighbors who are also seniors and caregivers in to sit with him when he's doing his online. And of course, we were concerned about that because of the social distancing, etc. But they sat far apart and they wore masks, and we sort of had to say that's their decision. But two people that he invited in were not online, did not have technology skills, and did not have access. So it's complicated. And I think we're all always aware that the really isolated seniors are still often not being reached. And that's something we just have to keep somehow working on. It's very challenging.
And the other thing that is very anecdotal in our groups, you know, when you have a person that is isolated but somehow want to join the group, so you start working with the person a lot, you talk to the person, you call the person. So finally you get the person in the group, and then the person start complaining, why don't you phone me anymore? I've been waiting for you to call me, because you become a really important part of the family, and your aim is to get them out of the isolation into the group. But for that person, you become the relative, the one that is talking. And so you have to balance out those things in the reality of seniors.
Definitely.
That's a very good point. You have to wean them off you a little bit, gently as you go. Yeah.
Great. Monica, is a question from Christine. She says, please, would you give us your view on what type of facilitator would be best, since you said the facilitator is important? Does it have to be an older person, or does it have to be an older person from the same culture?
Well, I'm going to tell you that our facilitators are older. They are between, I'm not sure of their age, but I'm going to say, I hope I'm not making me say, I think between 50 and 60. Those are the age of our facilitator. They are fully fluent in both language that they are working with. But I think that they have a personal trait. They love to work with seniors. They find that it's a lot of learning from them as they communicate with all the people. And I must confess to you that all of them put a lot more time on the work that we can afford to pay them. Definitely. So it requires that level of commitment that the person will go beyond for me, it's even embarrassed to say how many hours we pay and how much we pay, because it's very little. And we have such a tremendous success. I know Family Service of Peel concern right now is how we are going to be continue with such a good project without any resource, because right now some of the program is being funded by our own resources, but we cannot do that for a long time. And that's what I see, lobbying for more resources to those projects that are successful. They have shown success, should be a must for all of us. We cannot continue working in isolation. And I'm going to say again, competing with each other for the tiny amount of money when we have already demonstrated that certain group or organization have done really successful work, and they should be supported and continue.
Definitely. Jen, you have your hand up. Would you like to unmute and ask your question?
My question was regarding training for individuals that are working with these groups on how they identify abuse. And are there any other programs to help forward that information? So in the Hamilton region, where I'm based, we have gatekeepers programs that help to identify individuals who are self-neglecting. There are also programs to help identify potential senior neglect. Is there anything like that in the regions you have been discussing today?
Well, I just wanted to know that at Family Service of Peel, we have a trauma screening program which we have used to train full organization, you know, not only Family Service of Peel, but Cross Cultural Center and Elizabeth Fry Society, and we have training in Kitchener and Guelph and Waterloo. And what we use as a model is that we do two components of the training. The first one, because we find that it's very important to have at any training a good equity framework that look at anti-racism, and anti-oppression within the determinant of health. A good understanding of how we capture the demographic of the population and how we understand and define equity in our own services. And then we have a short questionnaire that is being validated. It's quite solid. Or 7 questions to ask to anybody. It can be a senior, it can be anybody, can be anybody that potentially has suffered a trauma, to identify the trauma at the very point of entrance in your organization, and then do proper referral. That's what we have done extensively, and we still offer it. Actually, we have it now electronically. We have evaluating the project, and it's done well.
Thank you so much for everybody's questions and a great discussion around our presenters. I think unless there's any more questions, give it a few more minutes and we'll maybe pass it on to Sean for our closing as we're coming close to the end of our day. Oh, we got a couple more questions there. What can other outside organizations do to help with the success of these programs?
I would say, for me, refer people to the programs.
Yeah.
and then advocate for more funds. You know, we have in Peel the Peel Elderly Abuse Network. That is organization that lobby and advocate for services for elderly. We should be very supportive of those type of organizations that can be face-to-face with government, make them understand that with the limited resources, we have been able to do a lot, and that should continue. And expand the network, you know. At Family Service of Peel will be glad to share. I have written several, I think I have written 3 reports of our work, very detailed information, and I'm sure we will be glad to share that information with you. The same thing I can share with you, the framework that I just introduced you. I mean, share what we know, you know, get other people involved, support each other. It is super important.
I very much agree with that.
Yeah, I think that would be the best way to support. There's lots, you know, and like it was mentioned before, there's so many seniors we may not even be able to get to right now, or we may not even know they exist, or they might not know we exist. So if there's someone who you know who can benefit from that, from any of the services that were shared, we'd be more than happy to support them. I know there's another question around how can the clients be referred. So there's no link for PCHS, but you can call our general line, and we can do intake from there. And I can put that number in the chat.
Great, thank you.
And I would just to add a few words about this. You know, at the end of the middle of 1900s, a new population group appeared in society, in the world. It was youth, adolescents. Before that, you know, before the Industrial Revolution, there was no such a thing, an adolescent. People from childhood would go into labor and into having a family. And then now we have this population of 14, 18 years of age that float around and decide what they would like to do. But right now we are facing in the building of a new group of people. And it's this group of people that are over 65 who are like me, active, happy with their life, that they want to continue contributing to society. And some of us are very wise. And I'm going to tell you this for a fact. If you were not wise when you were younger, you are not wise when you are older. You don't get that with old age. It just comes or doesn't come with you. But really, this is, you know, because we are talking about elderly abuse, but we also are a group now with our own strength and with quite a bit of experience. And it's important that the group I represent continue to be active and have an important word to collaborate to society.
Great. Thank you so much, everybody. I think we're going to close up our day with a quick video from our resource we shared earlier from Amitro. If Sean would like to share that, if he's able to.
Okay, folks, so this is from an intro, and I'm going to hope that everything plays and that you can hear the audio nice and clear. So if not, just give me a heads up and then I will start again.
Sounds good.
We progress in life, and the opportunity to continually make new friends and engage with other people, it starts to dwindle. When we lost my dad, there wasn't necessarily a large support group of friends for my mom. And we have no family nearby. I did a lot of research, originally focused on how can I help my mom, and by default then, help my brother and help me. And discovered this massive epidemic of social isolation and loneliness. Amitro is a free online social platform and information hub exclusively for adults 50 plus. Our number one goal is to enhance the lives and the quality of lives of as many people as possible. Social isolation is a daily reality for many older adults, and with COVID-19, it has just multiplied the impact. We want to reduce the number of strangers there are in the world. We are not a dating tool or service or resource. We are focused on good old-fashioned camaraderie and friendship. You can use a computer, a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, a smart device of any kind, and you can sign up by a number of ways. You're asked a series of about a dozen questions, and we focus on not just hobbies, but where do you come from and what languages do you speak? And the algorithm then identifies other members. You can begin chatting within the platform with the end goal of actually getting out of the house, logging off, and actually meeting in person. AgeWell's impact on Amitro has been the greatest thing that's probably ever happened to us. It has absolutely exposed Amitro to a larger audience and built the recognition and the credibility for our organization. Our tagline is "Make friends, live life." And I really believe that people want to be in charge of their destiny. Life is a lot better when you have people to experience it with.
Okay, thanks for watching that. Hopefully you can check out if you want to watch it again or share it. The link has been posted in the chat, but it's bit.ly/inventory resource. I want to say thanks to Janet for moderating today, and also to our panelists once again. That was really beneficial. We're already coming to the tail end of our series, folks. This is session 5, coming up on June 28th. It's going to be slightly longer as we kind of wrap up and close the entire series. So your input, your evaluation of how each session has gone is really valuable for us. In the chat, you'll also find Alyssa will be placing a link to provide feedback on today's session. But we hope that you join us at session 5, where we'll also do a little bit more networking and get a chance to keep those connections alive so that we can build on it. I think that one thing that really struck me is the points about how we have to work together in order to make this happen. And this is just a platform to do that. So it's now 2:30. I want to thank everybody for joining. And again, really hope to see you next week. And thanks to all our partners and presenters. Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.